David Perrich here. I'd like to discuss with you, in this particular instance, ways in which we might be able to manage our physiology, our body and our responses to situations so that we can act in a way that calms tense situations and increases your chances of success in terms of getting people to go where you want them to go, to do what you want them to do in ways that are beneficial to them. Let me just give you an example. Many times in my professional career and I guess in my personal life too, I've gone into situations, difficult situations perhaps, and I've found myself fired up, maybe irritable or angry, frustrated with someone's behaviour, maybe frustrated with myself or how the whole day's gone. And charged in there and found myself picking up on the emotion of the other person who's maybe upset or angry, and it's gone wrong, and I've managed the situation poorly. Or there have been times, and I don't know if this is something that triggers any responses or memories in yourself, but I've certainly been there where I've gone into a situation and I've gone into it with a degree of anxiety, expecting there to possibly be some trouble, and I'm not quite sure how I'm going to manage it, and I'm edging around things, and again, it just doesn't seem to work terribly well, and afterwards I'm left with a feeling of, I made a mess of that, David, or if it just about went okay, well, you got away with that one. I don't know if that, as I say, has any resonance with you, but there are things that we can do that can allow us to manage situations better, to manage ourselves better, such that we can be more successful, and more successful for ourselves and for the people that we're trying to assist. There's a guy called Andy Austin he made this statement. It's an NLP statement essentially, but he gave it some meaning for me. And he said that people calibrate to the strongest state. What does that mean? Well, essentially, I think what he was saying was that in any given situation, the person who's got the strongest state, emotional state, whether that's the person who's being angry or sad or frustrated, they can control that situation. And if you're going in with the task of taking control, of calming the situation down, of moving things on and keeping them purposeful, then you actually need to have the strongest state. So how do you do that? Could you just try something for me, please? Okay, so let's try it. Let's just do it, shall we? I'd like you to, just with me, take a nice deep breath. Ready? And again. I wonder, what did you notice as you took those two deep breaths? Well, I don't know about you, but for me, things slowed. And I calmed. I feel a greater sense of calm inside. There's actually a greater sense of awareness of what's around me. And I'm more in control. It seems a very, very obvious thing to say, and I guess it probably is, and yet people don't do it enough. They don't take those deep, calming breaths enough. And one absolutely, well, you choose to reject it or to accept it. The suggestion is really that you, whenever you go into any kind of situation that you're going to have to manage, remember, 2, 3 deep breaths before you enter the situation. You can be calmer, more aware, more in control of what you do. And once you're in the situation, how you manage your body will be crucial to what happens next. Now, I've been in situations, and often I've been, no, I just want you to calm down because this is all, we've got to do this, and I'm not sure, why are you doing it? What's the problem? Can I help you? The signals I'm giving off. Look and see around you during the course of the next few hours, few days. Notice yourself when you do that. Notice when that happens with others. What signals are being given off? When hands, voice, head, all over the place. my sense is that there's a degree of confusion being communicated. It doesn't tend to be terribly helpful. It's certainly something that I've done and that I still do occasionally. So how is it that you need to be if you're going to be in the best position to calm the situation down? Well, first of all, those deep breaths, as I say, get you set. And then it's about maintaining that calm in a way that is acceptable to the person that you're dealing with. Because sometimes, if we're talking about having the strongest state, somebody might assume that that's the kind of, I'm in control, I'm strong, I'm in charge, my state is stronger than your state, this is what you're going to do, don't do that, boy. It may work in that precise moment in time. My sense is, in the long run, that's not too successful a strategy. Equally, my state might be all very compliant and very, it's okay, we can do this. But again, creates a sense perhaps of confusion, maybe even a weakness. So my suggestion to you, then you can try, is first of all, when you go into a situation, calm as you are, is to acknowledge the other person's feelings, to acknowledge that they're not happy necessarily at that particular time, to acknowledge that they're not prepared to do at that moment what you want them to do. Now, by acknowledging their discomfort, their unhappiness, their sadness, their resistance, if you will, you immediately reduce that resistance. There's a sense in the other person, okay, you are listening, you are aware of me. So it might be, okay Johnny, I understand, I get that, I can see that you're not happy, you're not ready to go to your lesson yet. I'm not agreeing with him. I want him to go to his lesson, that's my outcome, that's what I want to get to. But I'm acknowledging that at the moment, yet, that's not a place where he's ready to go. Then there's a need to say no, because we're acting in the best interest of people, and that often means we have to say no. So how do we do that? What's the best way to do that? Well, there's a suggestion that comes from a woman called Shelley Rose Sharvey, an expert on influence, and she's posited this suggestion, which I think is a very useful one, that rather than dally around things and if, buts, maybes, you come straight out. You say no. And you follow it with but. And then you give several positives. Because the person hears the first thing that you say to them, and they hear the last thing that you say to them. They tend not to hear too much of the bit in the middle. And you want to make sure that your message is clear but finishes with a positive. And the way you hold your body when you do this is, I think, also very, very important. We have that sense of calm because we continue to breathe. We recognise that waving our hands all over the place is not very helpful. And yet, there are a couple of other ways of using our hands and our gestures that can communicate things we might want to. Because our words are important, but our physiology and our gestures are just as important. So for instance, if I'm saying no to somebody, and if even before that I'm acknowledging their resistance, accepting that for them there is something that they're not happy about, they're not prepared to do. I will use a stance or a gesture that's known in NLP circles as the satir categories, and it's known as the placator. So it might be as follows. Okay Johnny, I get that you're not ready to go to class yet. So I'm acknowledging that resistance, I'm kind of giving ground, that's okay, I'm accepting that. And then when I move to say no, I'm going into a position or gesture, using gestures that are known as leveller, which convey solidity, calmness, authority. So it could be, okay Johnny, I accept you're not ready to go to lesson yet. You have to accept that the answer is no, you can't have more free time now. But I recognise that you enjoy having that free time. And so I'm willing to discuss with you and with your teacher what it is that you need to do so that you can earn that extra free time. And then you can do the learning that you want to do. You can do the learning that you need to do to have the success that you say you're here to have. And you can perhaps earn that extra free time. Okay? Should we go? Now, am I saying that's going to work every single time? Probably not. However, I guarantee breathing in control before you enter the situation. Maintaining that sense of calm. Acknowledging that resistance. Move towards them, not necessarily physically, but moving towards the person. I accept that there's an issue for you. I'm not saying I agree, but I accept there's an issue for you. However, the answer is no. You can't do what it is you currently want to do. But there is this positive, there is another positive, and that means we can move on now. Shall we go? Okay. My suggestion to you, for what it's worth, is that you consider a situation where perhaps in the past it didn't go as well as you wanted to. Maybe you entered it in an agitated state, maybe in a frustrated or an irritable state, or maybe a state of kind of high anxiety, not sure how it was going to go, how you were going to manage it. Just review that. And now, think ahead to a time, probably not too far in the future, where maybe that will happen again, or that situation, that sort of circumstances will happen again. Because my guess is that in the work that you do, there will be countless examples of difficult situations that you have to manage, challenging situations. And as you look ahead to one of those situations, think now, how you go through it, how you breathe, calmness that you exude. Acknowledge the resistance. Be clear about the no. Use some positives, more positives, more positives. And on you go. Just see how that plays. Because if you can be more successful in managing your state, controlling yourself physically and emotionally, then you have greater flexibility in managing situations, I guess. And as you do that, you might find that you can manage situations more and more effectively. So you're increasingly able to get the results that you want from situations. The results that you want not just for yourself, but that you want for the people that you work with and that you serve. And you come out of situations calmer, more relaxed, better able to manage what is probably a very hectic day and a hectic week than a hectic lifestyle. You feel less strained, you have more energy, more control. And when things don't go right, as that will inevitably happen from time to time, that's okay, because that's life. And you still have more control and a wider perspective as you continue to breathe. Practice, have fun, and enjoy.